Hello, welcome to another Files from the Officia Tempere vault. I am Patrick Gleason. Today we're talking about another book review and discussing the Primarch Lorgar. Now, the book is again one of the Horus Heresy Primarch series, in which case all, 18 Primarchs, maybe 20, who knows, 18 Primarchs will be looked at. There's been a few already. I've already done one for Perturabo, and now it's going to be Lorgar. Yes, another traitor Primarch. Lorgar, in my opinion, as a Primarch, was the most responsible for the Horus Heresy and the creation of the current Imperium. Now, I know you're going to say, but it's Horus Heresy, it's his, and the Emperor, yes, the Emperor was basically the big one in Chaos, but Lorgar was the Primarch that got everything pretty much going within the Space Marines and the other Primarchs. Lorgar was the Primarch of the 17th Legion, which was, before he came about, called the Imperial Heralds. They were basically the Emperor's word. He wanted the Imperial truth brought forth. He did not want false religions or superstitions to be there. So any worlds that had those sort of beliefs, they would send, or cities, they would send the Imperial Heralds to root that out and wipe it out, because the Emperor said did not want any sort of religion to exist. And I'm going to go into that in a little bit more there in detail. So now, Lorgar, in the mythos, the fluff of the Warhammer 40k universe, is basically the first Primarch that went from being a loyalist with the Emperor to following Chaos undivided. He did not swear allegiance to one god, to Zinz like Magnus, Khorne like Angron, Nurgle like Mortarion. He was Chaos undivided, all of them. He went forth and he brought his whole legion, which was numerous at the time because they'd been doing massive recruiting during the background years when they were going into Chaos without anyone knowing. So in the Horus Heresy novels, you've got an idea of how Lorgar was. He is, obviously, he's extremely fanatical, he's a zealot, and he built up the Emperor to be a god, which of course the Emperor did not want. He did not want those sort of things. Now this is where I believe why the Emperor, one of the reasons he was so against religion and superstitions and that, was not just because he wanted the imperial truth, the religion, science, knowledge, and fact and reason to be the background, the cornerstones, the pillars of his Imperium. He also knew about Chaos and what existed in the warp. He helped get the Primarch. The Primarch project was partially created by some of the knowledge he got from the warp and the Chaos beings. So he knew they were out there. And he did not want anyone to know about that. He wanted to hide that completely. And the best way to hide that is not have a religion where people are seeking help or answers from unknown, unseen, supernatural beings. So the Emperor, in my mind, one of the things, the reason he wanted that is to wipe out any chance that humanity would be seeking aid from a supernatural super being, which would be answered by the Chaos. They'd do little whispers, and they'd, yes, we can give you what you want. So that's why he wanted to wipe it out. But he didn't tell anyone. That was a big one. He didn't tell anyone else what existed. Now, Magnus had an idea of what was going on because he was another one of those supremely powerful psychics who could travel through the Imperium and the warp and that. So he sort of had maybe a bit of an idea of what there was. But he didn't see them as being evil because they were sort of, manipulating him as well. Lorgar never knew this. So he believed completely in the divinity of the Emperor. Now, the core foreign is also in the Horus Heresy books. He's, in Warhammer 40k universe as well, because he's still following Lorgar. He's one of the top guys. Erebus is one of the Space Marines as well, who brought forth, helped bring in the lodges and all that into the other traitor and other legions, which helps them eventually, become corrupted and fall. Right? The warrior lodges are why, when Horus got attacked, they went, they're the ones who brought him into a temple, which was basically an area for Chaos to go into and convert Horus. So now Lorgar, and again in the Warhammer 40k ones, not in the Primarch book yet. I'm still building up to that. Sorry. In the mythology and all that, he grew up in a world that was very religious, extremely religious. So that was life and butter and bread and breath of everyone there. So when he saw the Emperor, he knew right away the Emperor was a god. He converted his Imperial Heralds from being, well, they were still somewhat fanatical, but they weren't religious. They were more like, the Emperor is right, we go with his word, his law. Lorgar brought in the religious part of it, and he's, recruited heavily from his home world of Colchis, because that's all the Primarchs do, except for Angron, who didn't have a world. But they, recruit heavily from their worlds, and the worlds they ended up converting. Now, Lorgar's conversions took slower because he'd come in and he wouldn't just, take over the world. He'd build temples and all that sort of stuff to the Emperor. And he would convert the people into believing the Emperor is as a god. He actually wrote the Leviticus Divinicus, which became the cornerstone of the religion of the Imperium. So, as I said, Lorgar started doing these slow building up the worlds, converting people, getting all those people who were now believing in the Emperor as a god into the word bearers. But this took a lot longer, and the Emperor, he wanted fast. He wanted it done right away, so he could, pull back, go back to the warp hole project and that sort of stuff. So, and he also did not want Lorgar saying he was a god, because again, he did not want any people to believe in other beings, because he knew that's where chaos got their power from. So he chastised Lorgar a few times, and then once he had enough, he sent the Ultramarines down to the planet, this one planet, and destroyed it. Pretty much wiped out everybody to show word bearers, don't do this ever again. Now, being a fanatic and having his god tell him stop it, Lorgar went a little nuts, and that's what, Erebus and Corforan, the little whisperers, because they were still the old believers in the old ways, and Lorgar went on a quest and found chaos and found the ruinous powers and the gods he always sought after, because they actually showed him, we will give you power, here's how it's done. So then, as I said, he went about and converted slowly all the, like a bunch of lodges and all that sort of stuff in different areas, and brought about the end of Horus, which brought Horus Heresy to play. And like I said, the other Chaos Legions, the Traitor Legions went with Chaos. And Horus Heresy happens, billions of people dead, trillions of people dead. So that's where Lorgar was very much one of the top people responsible for that. But he's also responsible for the current Imperium, because I said his book became the foundation for a religion that, even though the Emperor kept not wanting it to do, the average person started to believe in it, especially when things like the Horus Heresy is going on and there is chaos demons and all this sort of stuff going on. They needed answers. So they started praying to the Emperor. Now, after the Emperor was, basically the corpse guy and on his throne, it still spread. And the High Lords of Terror realized, well, we can't crush it now, it's too big. So they let it go, and the Ecclesiarchy got created. But because, again, everyone starts believing in this, it became powerful, super powerful. And in the end, that's now the mainstay of the Warhammer 40k universe. Everyone believes God, well, not all the Space Marines, but the average person, it's the God Emperor, and they pray to him for everything. So even though Lorgar wrote the book and then hated it, he created the current version of the Imperium with its hardcore dogma, of the Emperor. So, sorry, that's a lot of background of all that stuff going on. So, but that gives you an idea. Now, that was the Warhammer, the Horus Heresy books so far that's, talked a bit about Lorgar. Now, the Primarch books, as I said before, they're taking place, during the Great Crusade or just slightly before the Horus Heresy. This is all background stuff. Now, Perturabo did one where they went back to his youth. And Lorgar does the same thing. They go to the youth of him on Colchis, like when he's first found and that sort of stuff. Now, it's interesting. It's not from his point of view, really. Mostly it's from Corforan and a few other people. That's their points of view that are, looking at Lorgar and trying to put their influence and their morals and their points of view onto Lorgar. And they show that, yes, although the world was extremely religious, there was different factions and different sects, going through, but they still all believed in the four. Now, they were obviously the Chaos Gods, because they didn't give them the same names. There wasn't Slanesh, but similar names, but they also believed in the four. And Lorgar, similar to Sanguinius and Kurz, and that was a bit of a prescient. So as he was growing up and he's getting this religious, stuff pounded into his head, he starts to see visions, images, and it's the Emperor. Although he doesn't know it's the Emperor at the time, he feels a connection, and it's a golden light and everything. So he converts the religion that Corforan believes in, and instead of the four, it now becomes the belief of the one, and has a religious war on the planet to basically, get rid of all the other sects, all the other factions, and bring in the truth, the one way, the one being. And that obviously turned out to be the Emperor, because the Emperor is the one who came down, and everyone's like, oh my god, yes, oh my god, and that. Now, Corforan, in the book Lorgar, you show how he is an old-fashioned believer. He feels he's being tested and all that, and he doesn't quite believe in this way of the one, but he goes along with Lorgar because Lorgar is too powerful to control anymore, but he's still trying to manipulate him to the old ways. So Corforan is doing this stuff like, yes, okay, fine, you want to believe in the one, but we won't call him the one, we'll just go with it. And so there's, like I said, there's the early development. And it's interesting because it's not really Lorgar's point of view. It's for other characters, other actors on him. And it's well done. And like I said, it gives a good background of the makeup that made Lorgar, when he saw the Emperor, because he believed he was a god even before the Emperor showed up because of his prescience and his visions of the Emperor. So that's why he was brought up that there is gods, there is supernatural stuff. He had seen some stuff go on in the world that he didn't understand, but they didn't put it to the Emperor. So that's why when the Emperor showed up, Lorgar and his entire planet went, yes, you are the one. And then when the Emperor was like, fuck you, stop building temples for me, I'm not a god, Corforan was like, this is my chance, this is going to happen, I will bring you back to the old ways like we should have had way back when. And then the fall happened. So I recommend it, anyone who likes the word bearers or wants more information of Lorgar, because in some of the earlier books he seems like pretty wimpy, like he's like the secondary, third Primarch. No one really takes him seriously, and this gives him more. This fleshes him out more. You understand him more. You understand what his reasoning and all that sort of stuff. So anyone who likes the word bearers or wants to know more about Lorgar or Corforan or that sort of stuff, I recommend pick up the Primarch book Lorgar and add it to your collection. Thank you very much.